What's up, guys? It's dynastymttops back again this week, week 4. Obviously, I'm Mickey, along with my co-host Jeremy. How you doing today?
Co
Should say we're doing
co-host,
a daytime.
co-host. Well said. It's
I think you've been
once
on
again.
long enough.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, well, I've been on here. Yeah, I'm happy to be here once again, and looking forward to talking all things week 4.
Yeah, man. Man, do we have a lot to get into. We got injuries, a bunch of injuries, first off. And some that just came through. Takeaways are standouts all for week 4, also flex options for week 5. And we're going to go through the quarter pull reactions because unbelievably, we just passed week 4 going into week 5. And this is the quarter pull for the entire season. Pretty crazy that we're already here. No, not going to lie. But
Yeah,
it's fun so far, for sure. So, yeah, anything you want to add at all?
nah, it's kind of bittersweet. It's cool to see that the season is shaping up the way it is, but to consider it a quarter of the way 4, if this was a NASCAR race, lap one's already over with, or turn one's already over with. So it's crazy. It's moving fast.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And with that, fantasy wise, I think we're starting to learn like who the teams are, who's not. This is why I like to talk about the quarter poll because this is kind of when you're like, okay, do I have a shot? And if I do, what do I need to do to make it better? So we're going to try to help you out with that today. So, first off, we're going to talk about the injuries from the week that was, week 4. A few that aren't as big, and then some huge ones. So, first off, we're going to start off with Darnell Mooney has a hamstring injury. I haven't heard much about it yet. I don't know if you have.
No, no, not much. The hamstrings are kind of funny. Our first 3 are actually hamstrings. Those range from anything like 2 weeks to 8, or and plus. It all depends. So yeah, those are finicky.
Yeah, it's always one of those soft tissues injuries that you like creep up every so often. Like Kadarius Toney, chronic hamstring injuries. Like every other week, it felt like. Because I was a fan of his, thinking that he was going to be the big time receiver for the New York Giants, and it just never happened. So hamstring is a crazy one that to just jump at you. If you have it once, you could have it multiple times in a year. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that doesn't happen for these guys. But Darnell Mooney, Lamar Jackson, and Cedric Tillman all have hamstring injuries. They're saying Lamar Jackson could be out 2 to 3 weeks. However, I'm still hearing that there's a chance he might play this weekend. So we have no idea what's going on, apparently.
Like I said, hamstrings could be a quarter, or it could be a whole season. They're so finicky.
Well, I will say one thing before we go on. For Lamar Jackson, I heard this morning from one of the podcasts that I listened to myself, Fantasy Focus, like smart the smart play. They're 1-3. Um, their defense is shot. Their offensive line's hurt. Derrick Henry's not playing very well. Do you really want to chance Lamar hampering or hurting himself even worse in the next 2 weeks when you have a bye week in 3 weeks? I don't know if you do. So I kind of think he's going to be out, but we'll see. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. What you can pivot to there. So also we have Miles Sanders with an ankle injury, Malik Neighbors, which is probably the biggest one on this list outside of Lamar Jackson, a torn ACL out for the season. Done. The minute Dart comes in, Malik Neighbors is gone. We can't have nice things in New York. Ricky Pearsall has a knee injury. Mark that as one of the shockers of the week that the 49ers are on here. Tyreek Hill, multiple torn ligaments. ACL probably is one of those. So he's out for the season as well. And he was just starting to come back into form. Braylon Allen, MCL sprain, put on IR. Bucky Irving and Trey Benson were just added today. Bucky Irving is seen with crutches, foot injury. He's week to week. And then Trey Benson was just put on IR maybe an hour ago and is out a minimum of 4 weeks because of that. So Arizona's down to Amari DiMercado, or if they want to go get somebody. And that's about all they got there. So they might be throwing the ball quite a bit, and we'll see about that. Anything you see, obviously, like I said, we're going to talk about Malik Neighbors and what's going to happen with that a little bit further down the podcast here. So stay tuned for that. But other than Malik Neighbors, is there anything that kind of speaks to you here?
No, just a summary of what you were mentioning. Ricky Pearsall's knee. I don't know the severity of it. I think because they play Thursday, it's a bigger issue than what it is. To be determined. But yeah, the biggest takeaway, in my opinion, is the Tyreek Hill injury. It was a gruesome injury. It's not just a torn ACL or a busted Achilles. Like, he has multiple torn ligaments in his knee. And his knee was dislocated completely out of the leg. So, to me, I know it's been beaten already, but to me, you're looking at age, you're looking at the severity of the injury. Hopefully we did not see Tyreek Hill's last days in the NFL this season being what they were. But if it's so, let's pour one out for the GOAT.
Yeah, man. I didn't even think about that. I was thinking about, okay, how can we move from this? I also have Jalen Waddle in one of my leagues, so secretly I was like, well, this isn't a bad thing for me, but it sucks. I mean, obviously, don't want injuries to happen in here as well, but I have been one of those people that said, grab Jalen Waddle when you can, because now you can't. He's going to be the number one in Miami, and usually that number one is targeted pretty heavily for the Dolphins there. So that's the one thing that I would say. I don't have him on my flex radar because I don't think he is flex anymore in Jalen Waddle.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
Being the number one there. But I would say, I'm going to get his name wrong, so maybe you know his name. The little number 6. Who,
Malik Washington?
Yes, I couldn't remember his last name. I knew it was a
little. Malik Washington.
Virginia.
They call him Baby Tyreek.
Yeah. He's going to... he's a gadget guy, really, but maybe he kind of takes over that Tyreek deep long down the field while Jalen Waddle is going to be the target monster. So maybe that's what happens. So Malik Washington might not be a bad ad if he's available. I doubt he is in dynasty leagues because he had a little bit of buzz last year. But if he is available, make sure you pick him up. That's pretty much the one pickup that I think I saw on here. Also with Bucky Irving, if Sean Tucker is available, I know I looked in both of my leagues, he is not. So that's not a bad call either because Rachaad White will be the starter if Bucky Irving goes down. However, he's going to need some time in between. When Sean Tucker got a chance, he played pretty well last year. Anything else that you saw in the injuries, or do you want to move on to our takeaways? Because we got a few questions.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to takeaways. Let's jump in. I mean, you can lead the way.
All right. So obviously, the first one is injuries have evened up our dynasty league. It's kind of interesting. You go into the year and you're like, okay, I got this just absolute dominant team, right? Well, Justin Jefferson doesn't have a quarterback. Jamar Chase doesn't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors didn't have a quarterback, and then he got hurt. Tyreek Hill just went out. Trying to think of who else is out there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's been good. Better than even advertised, in my opinion. But wide receiver-wise, I mean, it is rough. BTJ, not the same as he was because some people say he doesn't have a quarterback. Some people say he's not playing well. Whichever way.
You can kind of blanket this into, because now we can argue the quarterbacks are impacted by injury, and you can also mention, we already have some top dogs on running backs like James Conner, who's out for the year. So it's been kind of a blanket effect that these things do happen. Injuries are a thing of the game. These are real humans playing a real physical sport. But yeah, when you put on the dynasty hat and the fantasy hat and look at it in those perspectives, yeah, it's a lot of key guys who were drafted in high ADP levels, and or rookies who are not necessarily getting the opportunities due to lack of injury, both of which are being impacted significantly.
Absolutely, and I can't believe I forgot my dude, CeeDee Lamb, 8s. Absolutely can't forget. I forgot about him, but Dak Prescott just looks like an MVP on a terrible team, so he makes that work. But Still, if you drafted CeeDee Lamb, you don't have him for 4 weeks minimum. So I'm one of those people. So obviously, I shouldn't have forgotten about him. So moving on. Um,
It's a good
the my,
segue.
yeah, my second takeaway. I didn't even mean to do that again. But my second takeaway is Dallas might be who we thought the Bengals were going to be, and what I mean by that is the Bengals' high-powered offense is what we expected. Joe Burrow being healthy, they would have been a high-powered offense more than likely. With an absolutely horrendous defense. Defense is playing a little bit better than we expected, probably because they have to. Still not great though. However, this Dallas team is a wagon on offense. Like they went up against who most people thought were one of the best defenses in the NFL and put up 40. You don't do that against a good defense, or I'm sorry, one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they put up 40 without CeeDee Lamb. Obviously, this offense is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and the defense is such a joke that they have to continue. And I'm going to keep saying they're a joke because they had an opportunity not to be a joke, and they decided to trade Micah Parsons. That's their own fault. I'm going to make fun of them all year. So suffice it to say is it looks like this is going to be the most fun team to watch fantasy wise because everyone has to eat because if they don't they're going to lose and they're kind of losing anyway but at least it's fun to watch them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense, and I like the way you said it. Everybody has to eat. It's just the way this offense is being established, and that's the way this offense is working out. I mean, nobody in the fantasy world was expecting Javonte Williams to do what he's doing, but he is doing it with flying colors. And Dak, we always know, is a gunslinger. We know that they tend to throw the ball. It's a pass-heavy offense, and the addition of Pickens was one I was heavily touting. But yeah, I mean, I love the analogy comparing them to Cincinnati of what we imagined Cincinnati would be. The wheels have fallen off completely of the Cincinnati Bengals offense and been added to a now tank Dallas. So it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, and for Cincinnati, don't be surprised if they go out and try to find a quarterback. It sounds like they're going to. That team is so ready to win, um, and the North is up for grabs. I mean, Baltimore's falling apart. Cleveland's Cleveland. Pittsburgh's playing well, but they're not. I mean, they're not a wagon like Baltimore usually is. So Cincinnati might go out and try to find a quarterback to win this division.
No, that's
Speaking
fine.
of
It's
Pittsburgh,
great.
great segue
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. Speaking of Pittsburgh, yeah, we had a fun, fantastic football game done in Dublin, Ireland this past week. But the game was great. But the biggest takeaway for me is not necessarily the locations of them, but the fact that I get to live in an all-day fantasy world. 5 out of the next 7 weeks, not including this island. So 5 out of the next seven, we have all-day football. I think they're advertising it as Sunday morning football, which for us in the East Coast, it's a treat to have Sunday morning football because West Coast and others sometimes are already watching football come in the morning. But nevertheless, being able to wake up and have some kegs and eggs, 9:30 in the morning, watch some football, and then more football at 1, and then more football at 4, and then more football at 8. It's a wonderful day for the ones who tend to leave it on all day and just let it play in the background. So I just wanted to highlight once again that we are going to be in full swing of our international games and having a long stretch of football days on Sundays. But more importantly, it wouldn't be fantasy relevant if I didn't mention the fantasy implications that out of the next 7 weeks, once again, 5 have international games. So make sure you set your international rosters early and you don't run into any problems. I'm looking at you, Jalen Waddle or Jalen Warren.
Yeah, I feel bad for the West Coast on that one, man. That came through at what 4:30 in the morning West Coast. I'm assuming, maybe even
Yeah,
like
that's about right. Yeah,
unfortunate. It is what it is. Luckily, some of us, this guy included, was able to get Kenny Gainwell, and he is a stud. So we'll talk about him in a little bit. Trust me. Uh, the thing that I love is 15 hours of football.
it's so nice.
That's what I had last week because of the overtime. So they played until about 12:30. So, which was pretty awesome last week. Hopefully that doesn't happen every week because I got work in the morning on Monday. So hopefully they're not going into overtime. But if they do, I'll probably watch anyway. So, but it is fun. Do you know who the morning game is this week? I know it's the Vikings.
Vikings in Cleveland is this upcoming Sunday.
Okay, so make sure if you have, well, maybe Judkins and all those Vikings players, make sure you have them in your lineup or make sure they are playing. So,
yeah, and the other thing I wanted to take away from last week is I was questioning if it was going to be Jackson Dart time. Well, I think not necessarily blowing out of the water colors of numbers, but I think we saw it was Jackson Dart time, baby. I'm really looking forward to this all off season, and I was hoping just for the sake of developmental purposes, he was going to get an opportunity a little bit later as opposed to earlier. But hey, he came out against a stout defense of the Los Angeles Chargers, threw for 111 yards, rushed for about 60 some, and had himself a passing and rushing touchdown. I mean, what more could you ask for a rookie quarterback? So it was good to see some positivity for New York football as a blanket, excluding Buffalo, of course, because they're actually in New York. Bazinga. But nevertheless, I'm all for Jackson Dart and seeing exactly what he's going to do here and seeing what he does next week against a little bit more of a leaky defense in the New Orleans Saints.
we're going to get to that Saints in just a second, but real quick, Dart, so happy. I thought he was the best quarterback coming into this draft. He looks like we might be right about that. Yes, the numbers weren't great, but he won. And he beat a really good team. Like, obviously, his whole team did. We knew the Giants' defense was good, but this team played a little bit more passion, I feel like, with him as the guy calling the plays. So I'm excited for Dart. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see Dart and Neighbors, so that kind of stinks. But
yeah, that is a bummer. But the Giants have a dominant wide receiver one, and then they have a decent blanket of wide receiver twos, which you and I will touch base on a little bit later. But we will see exactly who is his standout there. But most importantly, the stat that jumped out to me for Jackson Dart against the Chargers was 0 turnovers. That is where the bread and butter is. Yeah, fantasy wise, he only got like a $111 on passing yards, and he had 54 rushing yards, but no turnovers. So on a fantasy aspect and an NFL aspect, right there, that is probably the best stat you could have had for your first game ever.
all right, so in the last takeaway, which is real quick, we just wanted to talk about this, and we'll reiterate this before we talk about our flexes. But bye weeks are starting, so make sure you're ready for that as well. Falcons, Bears, Packers, and Steelers are on a bye. So this week, if you're in Pittsburgh, you get to watch Red Zone. That's awesome for me. Instead of the 1 o'clock normal game. That was for one person. That's me. So that's okay. Moving on, we have our standouts. Like I said, we're going to reiterate that because if you do have anyone on a bye, you need to figure out who's going to be filling those positions. So we're going to help you out with that with 10 options as flexes later on in the show. But first off, we're going to talk about the standouts from the week that was, week 4. And I will start off with QB1. And we kind of talked about him already. Dak Prescott, gunslinger, 31 of 40, 319 yards and 3 tutties. Also, one carry for 2 yards and did get a touchdown with that. So ended up with 4 touchdowns on the day, 1 rushing. So he was the number QB1. The defense is horrible. I'll probably say that 20 more times today, which means they have to throw the ball. And if George Pickens looks like CeeDee Lamb, then they're going to be fine, especially when CeeDee Lamb comes back, which is what it looked like to me on Sunday. So that was pretty cool. And they ended up tying what everyone thought to be a good Packers team. So I don't know what's going on with the Packers or if the Cowboys are just able to play to their competition or what, but pretty impressive. My other quarterback, and I'm finally biting the bullet here, Patrick Mahomes, who I've been very negative on fantasy-wise. I know he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He was quarterback 3 this week, fantasy, 25 of 37, 270 yards, 4 touchdown passes, 4 carries on for 5 yards as well. He has 3 top 10s this season. that is not what we have seen from Mahomes in the last 2.5 years. So it's really nice to see that he's doing this. And this week he did it without the rushing. So now he's being able to do it with the rushing or the passing. If he can put them both together, he's definitely going to be a quarterback one moving forward. We'll see if he can continue this, especially with his big-time weapons hopefully returning. Worthy looked like he was good, even though he didn't really lift his hands over his head because he really can't. And then when Bryce comes back, they'll have a full amount of weapons. They're still in the hunt here. So the Chiefs are coming. And Patrick Mahomes is the catalyst right now.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Chiefs are 2-2. Everybody was loving the rub in their face in the dirt in the beginning of the season, but look out, the Chiefs are back on top. And I'm glad you mentioned Rice. Patrick Mahomes is doing these type of numbers without Rashee Rice, and that is scary. Like, everyone seems to be sleeping on the Chiefs because they had such a slow start. But as you mentioned, the Chiefs are back. I don't care what their record reflects, and they're only going to get stronger.
Yeah, well, thanks to the Giants, they're only one game out of first place. So,
well, I have two standouts as well here. I'm going to start with quarterback two in your fantasy records. Quarterback one in my heart, Matthew Stafford. He went 29 for 41, 375 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also picked up a whopping 4 yards rushing. I wanted to highlight him just because of the numbers that he was able to produce against the stout defense. He's continuing putting out the great numbers. He's continuously showing in and out, feeding Puka Nacua, feeding Devontae Williams. Everyone was writing him out to retirement at the beginning of the season, and he's also continuously putting out insane numbers and insane yardage. Secondly, I wanted to highlight was C.J. Stroud. Now, he was only quarterback 15 for the week, but he came in with he was 22 for 28 for 233 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he had 11 yards rushing. It was his first top 15 of the season. C.J. Stroud has been really struggling at these since probably about mid-season last season. So to see him come into it and really starting to have himself a good game was a breath of fresh air, I'm sure, for us fantasy folks as well as for fans of the Houston Texans. That offensive line still is atrocious. So having him being able to produce these types of figures is good to see.
No, I absolutely can't agree more. I was pretty surprised when you had C.J. Stroud as one of your standouts, and then I was like, you know what? He's been so bad, I get it. So, and it's not him. It's the offensive line. He has no time. And as far as Matthew Stafford goes, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, getting 65, 70% of the target share, and then you have Kyron Williams in the backfield. That he's going to always be able to perform with those caliber wide receivers at his helm. So it's good to see that it's matching the fantasy this week as well.
Yeah, just wanted to highlight, my beginning of the year call out of 2 wide receivers in the top 25, I believe. I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page. That one of the predictions is on flying pace to be accurate. Nevertheless, somebody else who's on a flying pace to be accurate is Ashon Genty, running back 1 of last week, running back 1 of this recent draft class. He went for 138 yards and a touchdown rushing out of 21 attempts. He also had 17 yards out of 2 receptions for 2 touchdowns. He was on 85% of the snap share, and he's also returned to his good old stances of Michael Myers, is what they like to refer it as. He came back in with flying colors, and I am looking forward to seeing what he can do next week. Furthering also this, and I'm also going to do another reach, just like I did with C.J. Stroud, is I'm going to throw in running back 29 and J.K. Dobbins. I wanted to give a little shout out to J.K. Because of the stats that he was able to produce. He hit 101 yards rushing, which at a 44% snap share. He was the first running back out of the Denver Broncos in 38 games since 2022, where a running back had 100 yards rushing. They mysteriously called that out at the Monday Night Football broadcast, and indicating that was missing. And Sean Payton mentioned that earlier in the week that was missing, and they called it out, and it might have been only by 1 yard, but everyone's goals were obtained, and Jobbins hit 100 yards this past week.
Yeah, I actually this is another one. I questioned what were you doing? Like he had an okay game, but what's the big deal? And then you told me about the 100 yards, and I'm like, wow, 2 years, probably over 2 years that they haven't had a 100-yard rusher. That's crazy. More than likely, that was probably Javonte Williams, to be honest with you. Uh, I don't know who it was, but that's funny. Yeah, and then Ashton Genty, I was starting to get worried because I way overhyped it, or I way hyped this guy up, and I was like, all that hype, and he has done nothing. And then he comes out the week that I'm playing him against him in a league that I thought I had a pretty easy chance to win. Still won because Justin Fields is my dude. However, Ashton Genty made that game a lot closer than it should have been. So glad he showed up, but maybe next week, not this week. But too bad. So that was pretty cool. And we referred to this earlier. My number one standout, and yes, call me a homer. I do not care. He was running back 3 on the week. Kenneth Gainwell. I've been a fan of his since he was in Eagle. I said back when Miles Sanders was a starter that I wish Kenneth Gainwell would start because I didn't like Miles Sanders back then. Still don't. But glad he finally got a chance here. 19 carries, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. Caught all 6 of his passes for 35 yards as well. 77% snap share. You know what that means? They don't care about the rookie. That's exactly what that means because there's no other running back on this team. Outside of those
it's a great point. You bring up a great point, especially with Jalen Warren being out, and he's still taking that type of snap share. It's a great call out.
Caleb Johnson is non-existent. Hopefully it happens soon because I do believe he will be able to perform well with this team. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he doesn't pass block well because I know Kenneth Gainwell does. Not sure about that. But this was his first start for the Steelers, and he showed out. So the good thing is that if you do have Jalen Warren shares, and for some reason Gainwell is available in your league, might not be a bad backup to have because Warren does get hurt as a Steeler fan every year, multiple times a year. So he is one of those guys who do get banged up pretty regularly. So might not be the last time you see Kenneth Gainwell as a number one. Other one is I believe there's a changing of the guard in Houston. I love Nick Chubb, one of my favorite running backs ever. Woody Marks showed up and showed out. 56% snap share. So he actually had more snaps than Chubb because I doubt they would put them both in together. I didn't see that. I'm not sure, but I doubt that would happen. 17 carries, 69 yards, and a touchdown. 4 catches on 5 targets for 50 yards and a touchdown as well. So 2 touchdowns for the rookie. Like I said, I believe this is changing the guard. You're going to talk about him in a minute, so I'm not going to spoil all the fun. But this was my number one ad if you didn't have him. So I 100% agree for you there. But, yeah, anything you want to say about those running backs?
No. Again, I agree with you and Kenneth Gainwell. Seeing what he was able to attain minus Warren speaks volumes. And then, yeah, Woody Marks, we could definitely jump into going into it. But, yeah, he definitely impressed me. He definitely came out and showed out, and he's increasing his snap share each and every week. And he looks to be now well ahead of Nick Chubb.
Yeah, so dynasty-wise, I do get a little bit worried about Woody Marks because I do think that this is kind of going to be like a Dameon Pierce 1-year deal, and then they're going to find a full-time back. But Woody Marks is pretty good, so we'll see if that actually happens or not. But that's my fear of Woody Marks in a dynasty league, unless you're competing for the championship as well. So did want to bring that up. So wide receiver wise, Romeo Doubs was wide receiver 3, 6 catches on 8 targets, 58 yards and 3 touchdowns, 90% snap share with that wide receiving core. I originally was going to say I think Green Bay's found their number one. However, we do this every single week, and it's always someone different. So you spin the wheel, you spin the roulette wheel, and it landed on Romeo Dobbs this week. So instead of Kraft or um, Matthew Golden or Dontavian Wicks is probably going to get it next week, I've heard. So we'll see what happens there. But what's that?
That was funny. I've heard Donovan Wicks.
Well, people actually said that on one of the podcasts I listened to. That they were like, "Well, it's going to be Dontavian Wicks next week because he hasn't done it yet." So,
hey, let's do that.
So again, I reiterate: Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, two players you want to have fantasy-wise, always starting because they're the ones who are continually going to perform. Josh Jacobs got off to a slow start, and he's still one of the top, I think, 10 backs, 10, 12 backs in the NFL or in the league right now. Yeah, if I do want to roster somebody because Jaden Reed is hurt, I think Romeo Dobbs is the most consistent on this team because he's not a downfield guy. He's more of possession and red zone. So that helps his stock. But again, wide receiver 3, don't know how often you're going to see that from a Green Bay Packers wide receiver. So kudos to you, though, this week, Romeo Dobbs. DK Metcalf, again, call me a homer, don't care. Wide receiver 5 on the week. He's finally in the top 10. 5 catches on 5 targets, so he caught them all. 126 yards and a touchdown. And that touchdown, if you didn't see it, 80 yards. Love it. 79% snap share. He's the number 1 in Pittsburgh. He does have Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, throwing to him, so that helps as well. And I think you're going to see DK Metcalf here, not every week, but more often than you think, more often than we expected.
No, DK Metcalf. I was super excited to see in the black and gold, and he hasn't disappointed. So I'm full on board with DK Metcalf.
Yeah, and one thing that I saw before you go to yours, one thing I saw was both number 1s were just peppered. Felt like they were getting a bunch of targets. Now, Justin Jefferson actually did get a bunch of targets and just was outside the top 10. But DK Metcalf was actually thrown to early and often, which was nice to see. So,
yeah. So I had my 2 standouts. I didn't want to go too much into him again. But the first one was George Pickens.
Take that lap, sir.
He went 8 for 11, 130. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. No, yeah, I'll get up and run right now. Okay. So, no, okay. Anyway, and so George Pickens went 8 for 11 for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. He needed to have a baller game. It was all lined up. The cosmos lined up that he needed to have a baller game, and he did just that. He had a baller game. He went out and showed what he's capable of in a pass-heavy offense. Now, I don't mean that as a knock toward your boy Kenny Pickett. I'm not saying that. The Steelers' offense is a much more rush-heavy offense. So, put the guns and knives away, sir.
You're all good.
George Pickens came in at 90% of the snap share. So again, he's dominant as the clear-cut wide receiver 1 while CB's out. Another one I wanted to shout out was Deebo Samuel, wide receiver 12. He went 6 for 6 for 72 yards and a touchdown. He also had 9 rushing yards. The fact is, he's at 86% of the snap share, and with Terry McLaurin's absence, he has taken over the type of momentum that Pickens has and filling in as a wide receiver 1. So having that as a blanket for Mariota during Jalen Daniels' absence has also been a blessing to him. Mariota, that is, because of his abilities.
No, yeah. I was saying take a lot because you called Pickens was going to be important to this offense. Didn't think CeeDee Lamb was going to go down, so he was going to have to be. But you said with Pickens' talent, Dak Prescott throwing the ball so much, you kind of called this one out. So hopefully this continues. I think we unlock something with Pickens. Deebo Samuel, I don't know why people were sleeping on him. With Terry McLaurin, doesn't matter. Deebo and Terry do completely different things, and they actually complement each other really well. So I think this is going to continue even when T-Mac gets healthy. So we'll see if we're right or not. But I think Debo is a must add or a must start. I mean, you probably can't add him.
I was like, what league are you in?
Yeah, must start. Yeah, those 14 leagues maybe. Definitely out of there. But yeah, 86% snap share for a guy who not only catches the ball but also runs from the backfield. He just gets you points. Trust me, I know.
Can't go wrong with points. Speaking of points, one of the harder points to obtain is having decent tight end points. Two dudes that I want to shout out or tight ends 6 and 7 in the point scales, and they had decent days, even being in the mid tier of the tight end scorings. First one is Tommy Tremble out of the Carolina Panthers, tight end 7. He went 5 for 8, 42 yards and a touchdown, and he was on 75% of the snap share. Sanders is out due to injuries, so Tommy Tremble is now your tight end 1 in Carolina, and he's not disappointed. He started to fill in immediately once Sanders was out 2 weeks ago, and then last week again he had himself a decent day with a supporting touchdown. Next is Jake Tungus, tight end filling in for again an injured George Kittle. So there's a pattern here that we're seeing here. Again, you called out great intentions of separations between Debo and Terry McLaurin, but we're having now individuals that you have had as well. We're seeing that these injuries are seeing it full circle from the beginning of our podcast, how these injuries are taking into play. Jake Tungus out of San Francisco filling in for George Kittle. He went 3 for 5, 58 yards, and also a supporting touchdown. He, too, is playing over 60% of the snaps. He's at 68% of the snap share. And those are decent numbers for a tight end room that is pretty deep and watered down behind a George Kittle, who is very top-heavy in that bracket. But I wanted to give a shout-out to those two guys.
Yeah, two guys who the starters are injured, and they're getting a chance to perform. Tommy Tremble was the starter last year, and then Sanders slowly took over, but he's getting another chance to perform this year and make another contract out of it. For me, I am going to talk about the guy that hasn't played in over a year, who is tight end 2, Darren Waller. Welcome back, sir. We're glad to have you. 3 catches on 4 targets. 2 of them, however, were tight end or touchdowns, and also 27 yards included with that. 28% snap share. He hasn't played in over a year. Retired last year. Kind of understand why you're only at 25%-ish of snaps. But he made those snaps matter. So that's the most important thing.
That he did. He made those count. I mean, 25% of the snaps, and 2 of them out of get 2 touchdowns out of 25% of your snap share. I mean, let's get real. He probably only did, 10, 12 total?
Routes probably.
20, yeah, total for that 28%. So yeah, that's a very productive day.
So if you say that number, he was targeted on 33% of his routes. That's ridiculous. So maybe this is the number 1 ad in Miami to grab. If he's not already grabbed. I know a lot of people grab them as soon as Miami put him on their roster, so we'll see if he's even available. But really nice to see. He was an absolute monster for the Raiders when he was healthy. So hopefully he can stay healthy. Looks like he might be a monster again. I don't know if you saw the first touchdown catch, but that was pristine, professional. Like, it was beautiful. Something that not a lot of people can do. So really nice comeback for Waller. Hopefully that continues for the Dolphins. Also, want to talk about A.J. Barner. I am a Arroyo fan through and through from Miami, the rookie. However, A.J. Barner is keeping him at a distance because he's been playing really well this year. Twice he's been in the top 10. He's tight end 9 this week. 3 catches caught all 3 of his targets for 32 yards and a touchdown, 86% snap share. Meaning, I don't know if they do a lot of 2 tight end sets because they have 3 wide receivers who are pretty talented. But they do run the ball a lot, so they may. However, it sounds to me like Arroyo is kind of sitting on the bench right now. So with the way A.J. Barner's playing, I don't know if he's going to get too much, but wanted to give him a shout out because we missed that opportunity 2 weeks ago when he played the Steelers and absolutely housed us.
No, I'm a big fan of A.J. Barner. I like Arroyo. I have him in a few of my leagues, but A.J. Barner was showing skill at the end of last season. had himself a couple of big touchdowns. So yeah, I like the ad.
Absolutely. And then we are going to move on to flex options here. Don't forget, we do have 4 buys this week. Week 5 starts the buys. The Falcons, Bears, Packers, and Steelers, meaning DK on a buy, Gainwell and or Jaylen Warren on a buy. All 18,000 of the Packers receivers, Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love on a buy. DJ Moore, I guess. But really, Roma Dunze, Caleb Williams on a bye, as well as Swift. And then you have the Falcons with Pitts, Penix not so much right now, London, and Bijan, all on a bye. So you got to figure out what you want to do there. We're going to try to help you. We're going to give you our top 5 flex options for the week if you would like to start, sir.
Absolutely, yeah. What hasn't been said already that today is that can't be more said. I'm going to give high praise to Woody Marks, the running back 1 for the Houston Texans now, following behind Nick Chubb, or who was behind Nick Chubb. He's now number 1. So if he's not available, try to acquire him. I think it's worth spending a little bit on the hype, because again, he should be cemented in there for Mixon until Mixon even decides to show up, and there's no timetable on Mixon. So definitely wanted to give praise to Woody Marks. Second and third are going to be confidence boosters. Second is going to be Chris Godwin. I'm going to look for him to add him. You can have confidence in starting him. He started his first game, and he was not eased back in. He had 10 targets during the absence of Mike Evans. Evans is supposed to be out for a few more weeks, so I expect Godwin to have some confidence in starting him. And then Jordan Addison, I'm going to throw in some Jordan Addison love as well. Jordan Addison, he played his first game back, and I was a little concerned myself with Addison, with the way he would play with Wentz, being that they only had about a week's worth of time to practice together, and it was overseas, but everything seemed to work out well. Jordan Addison had himself one heck of a day, had 114 receiving yards last week, so I have confidence in starting him once again this week. Fourth up, I would like to throw out Isaiah Bond. I know that's a name out there that not many people know of because he was signed with a little bit of controversy right around when Judkins was getting reestablished. So the Isaiah Bond, and that he hasn't really played too much, but he was the yardage leader for the Cleveland Browns last week. The Cleveland Browns are a little banged up as well, and Cedric Tillman has been to the IR. So I wanted to highlight that Isaiah Bond was he was the yardage leader last week, totaling 58 yards, and he has actually had some practice time with Dylan Gabriel, with the way that those two were on the depth charts. So seeing that those two are going to be able to play again this weekend, I'm looking forward to it as well. And then my fifth and final ad would be Darren Waller. Again, you gave him a praise of what he did with what minimal snap share. I do anticipate his snaps to only go up, considering what he did with what he had. He played well in at 28%, obviously. So I do anticipate his snap share to go up. So if he is available out there, this is your last chance to get him.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Woody Marks and the Darren Waller calls. I think those are a must. Chris Godwin, obviously, you probably already have him on your roster, but seeing how he came back from how long he's been out, I was pretty surprised how well he played. So it was good to see him and Addison come back as strong as they did. So nice. For me, I have Wan'Dale Robinson as my number 1 ad for the week. Yes, he's playing the Saints defense, but he's probably going to be the number 1 wide receiver moving forward for the Giants, considering Malik Neighbors is out. And I like Dart. I think he's a good quarterback. So I think even though the Saints are surprisingly a tough defense statistically, he is going to be the number 1, and I'm excited to see what him and Dart are able to do for the Giants. They're probably going to try to run the ball a whole lot, though, to be honest, to keep it out of the hands, because Dart got hit 13 times last week. Yeah, not good for first game. So my number 2, RJ Harvey, Eagles defense. Surprisingly, the Eagles defense, now this might be because of Javonte Williams as well, first game of the year, but they're tied second most rush touchdowns with 7. And I think everyone thought or let me rephrase that. Everyone thought Evan Ingram was going to be the Joker, and there was a small little bit of a few people saying that no, RJ Harvey's the perfect Joker. I think he's becoming that. So even though J.K. Dobbins is having a nice year on the ground, he only is on the ground. They're throwing the ball to RJ Harvey, so not a bad ad as well. And he does get a few rushes as well. I also just want a piece of this Denver offense. I think they're starting to come together. Number three, Trevion Henderson, if I could talk. Bills defense, he is playing this week. Now, most people are like, Bills, they're going to get crushed. Probably. However, they do let up the most rush yards with 654. They let up the most rush touchdowns with 9. And I, by far, think that this is the most dynamic, not only running back, but probably player on that team. And if you're going to beat the Bills, you have to be able to score. And to be able to score, you need to be dynamic. So at some point, they're going to realize that this is the guy that they need to start. And I think it's coming sooner than later because the other two running backs can't keep the ball. Number 4, Jaden Higgins, playing the Ravens defense. I do think Nico's going to feast as well, but I can't put him as a flex because he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So we're going to revert to Jaden Higgins is going to do well as well. Most receiving touchdowns allowed by the Ravens defense, which is 10. And that defense is like Swiss cheese. I know they played some pretty good teams, but they look horrendous. Tied 4th most in 20-plus receptions as well, which Jaden Higgins is, I believe, the downfield threat. So don't be surprised if he gets one of those. Like I said, tied 4th most, 20-plus wide receptions with 14. So it's not like it's just a few. It's happened quite often. So might be able to put him in your lineup as well. And then the last one is really just if you can't do it this week, you might be done. For the Cincinnati Bengals and Chase Brown, obviously the Lions offense is a juggernaut, very, very talented. You have to be able to keep up with them to make the game good. The Lions D is tied 2nd for the most rush touchdowns allowed in 7. Also has the most 20-plus rushes in 6. Can't throw at all with the quarterback that they have. Look at Jamar Chase's numbers the last couple weeks. So you might as well try to run the ball. I know the offensive line's not very good either, but bad running defense versus a bad offensive line. Let's see if it will work. This is kind of just a throw because Chase Brown has to get it done, or I'm ready to put him on my bench at this point. So this is my last week for him. So also keeps the ball away from the Lions offense, which is usually a good thing to do if you are playing the Lions. So run the ball always keeps the ball away from the other team. So those are my reasons for Chase Brown. And really, he has to get it going, right? Like
at some point, I was a big component of Chase Brown, and Joe Burrow's injury doesn't impact him too much. It impacts defensive schemes toward him, but let's go. Let's go. It's time for you to start doing something, because if they can get the run game going, that helps alleviate Jake Browning and the wide receiver core, and that helps open that field up a little bit more for them. 100%.
Well, the other thing is, if you can't throw the ball down the field, that's fine, but he's a really nice outlet to be able to just toss it when he's in trouble, because this offensive line is pretty bad. So he might be under duress by Hutchinson and just toss it out to Chase Brown. So don't be surprised if he gets a few catches this week as well. But I know I talked a lot about it, but it just baffles my mind how talented he is, how good he was last year, and then all of a sudden he's done absolutely nothing this year. It's crazy. So any other flex talk you wanted to discuss?
No, I think we did really well there.
All right. Yeah, I think we did too. Pat ourselves in the back. There you go.
Yeah, man.
Now we're going to get into the quarter pool reactions briefly. We're going to talk a little fantasy and a little actual NFL, real life, because it is a quarter of the way through the season, whether it's fantasy or real life. So pretty crazy. So first off, we have our undervalued player.
Yeah, I undervalued Amika Buka. It sounds a little weird because I was high on him in the draft class, but I was one of those ones that did not like his landing spot. I did not like the opportunities that he was going to get or lack thereof. So I was downplaying Emeka Ibuka's overall performance for the season because of where he landed. He has shown why I fell in love with him in the offseason and last year during college and during my scouting prep. And he's looking to be a bona fide dog in the wide receiving world, not just in Tampa, but in the NFL.
The pathway couldn't have worked out better for Ibuka than it did. Godwin goes down, and then the week that Godwin comes back, Evans goes down. So Igbuka's been the number 2 all year, really looking like the number 1, but great call there. For me, I went a little bit higher up. Jonathan Taylor, I did not expect him to perform as well as he has. I know he's great, but with the offense, didn't believe in Daniel Jones, so you could put him in there as well. But he has performed. He's the number 2 running back overall this year in fantasy, and just absolute beast this year. He looks incredible. So I definitely undervalued him. Need to reset my rankings with him a little bit higher now.
I overvalued running back Tyrone Tracy. This could have been selfishness due to some stocks in him. It could have been just due to me finding him as a diamond in the rough last year. I'm a big fan of the wide receiver converted running backs and vice versa. But nevertheless, he came in, he was already showing signs that Scatterbo was going to replace him, and then he ended up getting hurt. So, I don't want to knock him for being hurt. Again, they're humans playing a physical sport, but in the same sense, I've seen little to no confidence whatsoever that when he returns, he's the running back 1.
Yeah, I mean, Kim looks like the dude, man.
He does.
Good. He really does. I like Tyrone Tracy. I still think he's probably the 3rd best option on this, or 3rd most dynamic option on this team. Well, now 2nd, and they're both running backs. So I can't see how he's not going to get his, but I can understand how you feel like you overvalued him. I told you about Cam, though. Wasn't lying.
Nope. Can't say you were, sir. Can't say you were.
One guy for me, I may have overvalued, and I still believe he's going to get it, is Marvin Harrison Jr. And I can't quit him. I just think I overvalued him this year. He shows signs every so often where you're like, that's the guy. And the best example is this past Thursday night's game. First half, he couldn't catch a ball to save his life. He actually was the cause of both interceptions for Kyler Murray. He stopped on a route and then fumbled the ball in the air while trying to catch it, and the Seahawks just took it away from him. But then you saw him in the second half, and he looked a completely different person. Looked like he was the guy that you drafted 101 more than likely in your league last year. So I think I overvalued him for this year, but I still can't quit him. It's like MHJ anonymous right now. Like I just can't quit it. So, but I definitely overvalued him for this year, and that goes along with a lot of wide receiver 1s to begin with. It seems like it's that second tier of players who really stepped up in young guys.
Fantasy surprise, I think I'm joining the whole fantasy community and saying, oh, welcome home, QJ. It's been 3 years, I think, since 3rd year, but we finally got him under control. It looks like doesn't look like this is going to be a flash in the pan, and it doesn't look as if this is a one-off. It looks as if he's here. Something is clicking with him and Harbaugh. Something is clicking with him and Herbie to the point where he is arguably the wide receiver 1 on that team. Like, regardless of what Vlad McConkey did last year, Quentin Johnston's showing off.
Yeah, I absolutely love Quentin Johnston. So I didn't like him coming out because the price was too high, but then his price went too low, and he has the talent. He was just dropping balls for some reason. Now he's not dropping balls, he's scoring touchdowns. It's kind of crazy how
His price was low for a reason. So I mean, there's no knock and no foul in regards to not pursuing him because again, I mean, the dude had diamond hands.
Yeah, no, bricks, like horrible. But he came around, kind of like my surprise, and I'm going to eat some crow here. Javonte Williams, I thought Jaden Blue was just going to absolutely take this backfield over because Javonte Williams has been relevant since his rookie year. Apparently, he's healthy. So, looks like a stud for that Dallas juggernaut offense. And he needs to be a stud because, again, that Dallas defense is poor. Very, very poor. I don't have too many stats on him, but he just looks the part. And if you ended up getting him late in your draft on a redraft, or if he might have been thrown to the wayside, or a last piece of a deal or something like that, you got so lucky to be able to acquire this guy because he might be a league winner. How good he's playing this year and how low his price was coming in.
It's your breakouts. I'm going to go with 3 here. I'm going to go Dante Thornton out of Las Vegas. He is a wide receiver that is built with almost the exact same specs as Megatron. Dude, 6'5", 210, deep route runner. It's going to be hard to cover him. And so he's already been showing some flashes in preseason. In week 1, he had himself a decent game as well. So I'm going to throw out Dante Thornton. My second one is the one that I'm beating the drum with. I'm trying not to beat it too hard or too frequent, but I'm going to give a little shout out here. Is Mason Taylor, tight end of the New York Jets. I have been talking about how he has potential to steal the wide receiver 2 role in a sense from that team, and last week he did just that. Behind Garrett Wilson, he got 5 for 5 for 65 yards. So he is showing a great rapport with Justin Fields now that he has returned, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next week. Third and final is going to be Ollie Gordon, running back of the Miami Dolphins. We saw a little bit of him when the chain was banged up. But spoiler alert, the chain's always banged up. He tends to even has some type of lingering injury because he runs routes and he has a run game that does not fit his stature. Well, Chain now can face the backseat to Ollie Gordon. Duke Winner Award 2023. Same power back, and he was drafted to do exactly what he has been doing for the past 3 weeks in Miami. And I'm hoping and thinking he's going to continue to get opportunities.
So not liking that with all of my A-Chain shares. So hopefully you're wrong on that one, but I love Ollie Gordon as well, so I get it. We've always said they could work in tandem and be successful.
Of course.
Kind of like those lines up there. So Mason Taylor, real quick. I found out that 2 of my running backs, one of them being Bucky Irving and Trey Benson, who we talked about earlier, both on the same team, injured. So I had to do a little bit of maneuvering, and it pains me to say that the wide receiver 2 in the Jets was available, Josh Reynolds. So I picked him up and put him on a lineup because that is how bad the wide receiver 2s are for the Jets. So I believe Mason Taylor is going to be that number 2. But yeah, it was like a painful, all right, let's just add him. I have a free spot kind of deal.
Hey, no judgment.
And he is going up against pretty bad defense. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I love the Mason Taylor call. I think he's going to blow up. But we both kind of said that in the offseason.
Yeah.
More than me, but I definitely jumped on that bandwagon.
100%.
Has showed the part in preseason and then hasn't really come to fruition. So I'm waiting for that to happen.
Vegas just kind of reminded me of Green Bay. It seems like each week somebody else goes off. Trey Tucker went off 1 week. Dante Horton went off 1 week. So I think it's just I think Jack Beck's next.
Stay with me, okay?
Man, I hope so because I
don't want you falling.
Really was touting that one, and I feel like I blew that one up badly.
MVP for me is Puka Nacua. He was the wide receiver 1 last week. He's the 4th overall fantasy outputter. I know you should probably have the 1st overall as the MVP, but no, Puka Nacua is week in and week out consistent. He is matchup proof. He is quarterback proof. I mean, I know you had Matthew Stafford throwing it to him, but I'm at the point now where if Stafford were to go out due to injury with that back or whatever the situation is, I'd have full confidence starting Puka Nacua. He's just been an absolute dominant force, and he will continue to do so.
So I love your call, and more than likely, I probably would choose Puka Nacua as well because he is the only wide receiver who's been in the top 10 all 4 weeks in fantasy. Also, he's the only one who's been there. There's only one other player who's been there 3 weeks, which is crazy in St. Brown. So, by far the best first round, middle of the second round pick you could have made, dynasty wise. So if you have him, well done. For me, it could have been the undervalue, could have been the surprise of the year. James Cook. He's number 1 running back. He's running back 1 on the year so far, just past Jonathan Taylor. I think they're like 2 points behind, like away from each other, but they're blowing everybody else out. James Cook looks like an absolute stud. We didn't think he was going to be able to continue his touchdowns. We figured that would regress. Everyone did because he had 17 last year. However, he just keeps scoring touchdowns, so that might not regress. And with all the contract negotiations and talk in the offseason, he got kind of left by the wayside. You saw some trades that were just like eye-opening, like what is going on? I was one of the people who were trying to find Ray Davis everywhere I could to be able to grab him because I didn't think he would be the running back next year on this team, and he just comes out and performs like the best player in fantasy, which is pretty cool to see. So, cool story for James Cook this year, and not an MVP I expected by any stretch. And then lastly for fantasy, we're going to do the 101 for 2026. Do you have one of those?
Yeah, I believe we are in consensus, but I think we are at Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love as our 101 at this present time. Let's just say, I mean, what Jeremiah Love is, he's dynamic. He's one of those instinctive running backs. He has elite speed, elite burst, open field elusiveness. His ability to contribute as a runner and a receiver makes him the perfect weapon for NFL offenses, in my opinion. He plays extreme power. Like, he's super strong, big power back as well. So all that into play, he's a power back with hands. So sign me up tenfold.
Yeah, I was kind of solidified with this when he scored 4 touchdowns in the first half last week. And the quarterbacks who everyone has been talking about, and even the quarterbacks who are playing well, I'm just not sold on. But I am going to talk a little bit about the quarterbacks. I think by next year, 101 will be a quarterback. We just don't know which one yet. I'm leaning towards one, but Lenore Sellers from South Carolina, Dante Moore from Oregon, who played a tough Penn State team, Drew Aller, who played Moore's Oregon team, I still think is going to get there. And unfortunately, John Mateer just got injured from Oklahoma, so we won't see him for a few weeks. But I think those guys are in that spot to be the 101, 102. But my guy right now is Garrett Nussmeier. He looks like the most pro-style ready quarterback. Yes, LSU just lost, but I think he is going to be the guy that people are like, okay, we won't tank our franchise if we take this guy. He's at least going to be good. Maybe not game-changing, but good. So that's who I have right now. But it's early in the season. We'll see what ends up happening. Honestly, though, right now it looks like Jeremiah Love is by far, in a way, the best player coming out of college. So moving on to the NFL, we had who's your surprise team on the year? And mine, I kind of said this, so it shouldn't be a surprise, but how well their defense is the Jaguars have played great defense. And hopefully that offense can kind of find their rhythm because they're just piecing it together, getting wins. But I believe in them. I think they're going to win this division over someone you're going to talk about.
Yeah, the Indianapolis Colts. I think that they are going to win the division. I just think that they are equally classed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I still haven't seen enough from Jacksonville, and I hate to say it, if I had to flip a coin of faith, I have a little bit more faith in Daniel Jones than I do Trevor Lawrence at the given moment. So my good surprise is the Colts.
I like it. My bad surprise, I don't know how else to say this. We both have AFC North teams, but mine's the Ravens. They were projected to be the Super Bowl champions this year, and they were 1-3, playing terrible. And yes, they had a tough schedule to start. Don't get me wrong. However, their one win is against the Lily Browns. So now they did make that great defense look like a joke, but it's still the Browns nonetheless. So anytime they've played anybody, they've looked very poor. Derrick Henry's fumbled the ball 3 times this year. I don't think he fumbled this past week, which is not normal for him. He does not look like himself. He might have hit father time, maybe. Also, now Jackson's hurt. Offensive line's hurt. Defense looks like trash. It's a mess in Baltimore.
Yeah, and you kind of segue. Mine is also the AFC North team. It's the Bengals. I am on record, literal recorded record, saying that they have potential to be the next greatest show on turf, and all hell has broken loose in the first 2 weeks of the season. We had Joe Burrow's foot explode, and we had the defense show up a little bit better than what they wanted to. But even when Joe Burrow was there offensively, they still didn't get as much done as they wanted to. So the Bengals have been the defense has been a little bit of a bright spot on a cloudy day of Cincinnati fandom. But they've been a disappointment, even more so post Joe Burrow, that they weren't prepared for this. That their backup is incompetent as he is. They have more penalties at 15 than they do points at 13 in 2 weeks. That alone speaks volumes to a 2-2 team that is not a contender.
I didn't realize that. That's crazy. Wow. It does look like they're kind of giving up. At least from what I saw.
They look lost.
The game, they look
lost.
Really bad. And if it wasn't for the Ravens, I probably would have said the Bengals. To be honest.
Although if it wasn't for the Bengals, I would have said the Ravens.
Yeah. Being a Steeler fan, this isn't a bad thing. Just saying.
No, hey, we're having a good conversation here now. Yeah.
We're okay with this. I don't think it's going to last for the Baltimore Ravens, but the Bengals look like they might get one of the top 5 picks, which might not be good in the future. Best teams. So for me, I have them top 5 here. I have them in order. So number 5, I have Tampa Bay. Number 4, the LA Rams. Both teams have only lost to my number 1. Detroit Lions are number 3. Buffalo Bills number 2 because they are undefeated. And then the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles have played the Rams and the Buccaneers and won. And don't even look that good. And they're still winning. So have to be number 1 for me.
I like the list. We're very close. My 5 is your 4. I got the LA Rams. And then I have the Los Angeles Chargers thrown in there at team 4 due to that defense and offense playing very well. We have the Detroit Lions neutral at 3, and then our 1 and 2 is just flip-flopped. I have Philadelphia at 2 and Buffalo at 1. And I know strength of opponent is different, but I'm just going by the sheer dominance, the way the Buffalo Bills have looked offensively and defensively, and they're not healthy defensively. So once they get themselves fully back on track, they're only going to be better.
Yeah, and I think our MVPs kind of show who we think are the best team. Because my MVP is Jalen Hurts, and I know people are going to go absolutely bananas that I'm saying this. However, when you need to run the ball, he runs the ball. When you need to throw the ball, he's accurate in throwing the ball, mostly. And he just controls the offense better than almost anyone in the NFL. And they win. That helps.
My MVP is going to be Josh Allen. Surprise, surprise. Quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. No, it just he has it all. I mean, he can scramble. He reminds me of prime Ben Roethlisberger, and it was one of my favorite quarterbacks ever to play the game. So I'm hopeful that Josh Allen continues his success and he carries MVP this year.
Yeah, honestly, you can't hate Josh Allen. He's probably going to go back to back, especially with Lamar getting hurt. And Mahomes' team might not be as good as the Bills. We'll see. So I like your call as well. So my favorite question, though, because I absolutely love the NFL draft, and this is probably my number one question the entire time, is who gets the number one draft pick?
And all right, I'll go first.
Go for it.
So you can close out with your momentum here. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints. That I know statistically, defensively, they're not the worst on paper, but I just think overall they don't have a lot going on. I think Kamara's best year is presently, and then I don't think he's going to get any better as the years go on. He's barely playing now. Defensive, like you said, statistically they're not too terrible, but they are just an absolute boring, dull team from start to finish. And with the strength of schedule, Rattler playing subpar enough that you can't bench him, but not enough to win games. So it's a weird situation the Saints are in.
Before I saw the statistics of how good their defense actually has been playing, I was going to say the Saints. However, I think that defense is going to steal a couple. Maybe not enough to get out of the top three, but steal a couple.
And you just need to steal one. We've seen how that happens. Like, yeah. Remember the Lovie Smith Bowl 3 years ago, like where he won that game in Houston or Chicago and shouldn't have. You never know, but nevertheless, continue.
Absolutely. But I think who had the number one pick this year has the number one pick next year because this team is horrible. The Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward has absolutely nobody to throw to. LK Manor is still a rookie, still figuring it all out, and he's going to be the number one shortly, but I don't think he is there yet. Calvin Ridley looks like a shell of himself. I'm hearing that he might be hurt. I don't know that for certain. He looks like he should be hurt if he's not, because he's been absolutely terrible. They have nothing else, really. Tony Pollard is a shell of himself, playing absolutely terrible, and there's no Tajay Spears. I know he's coming back, but how big of an upgrade is that? Their defense, who was supposed to be good, hasn't played very great this year, and I don't see anything coming for them. Like, they're not a team that's going to be like, oh, let's trade for someone good because they're absolutely terrible. Why would they do that? So I got a feeling that they're going to be drafting number one next year. It's between these two, I believe, because I think Cleveland's defense is a little too good. It is even better than the Saints, and they are going to be able to win some games like they already did against a good team in the Green Bay Packers. But I think this is going to be 101, 102. Now, the order, not 100%. I just think the Titans' D is worse, and both offenses are absolutely horrendous. So I don't disagree with you on the Saints. I think the Titans might pick 101 2 years in a row.
It's a safe guess. I mean, it's not like Tennessee's flashing off paper anytime soon or anything like that. It's just really tough to get the back-to-back pick 2 years in a row.
It is
really tough.
But their entire division got better. Two out of three of the other teams got better, and the one's still good. So their division's better, and the Saints still have to play Carolina twice. So at least there's a chance there.
You are correct.
Carolina could be in this conversation as well. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, that was between them and Saints, to be honest with you.
So yeah, there's a few bad teams, but it's a lot of jumbled mess in the middle. That's for sure. All right, well, that's all we got today. For Jeremy, I'm Mickey. This has been Dynasty at the Mountaintops. Check us out on Podbean, Apple, and YouTube. Also, check out our social at dynastymttops on Blue Sky and X. And you can email us at dynastymttops@gmail.com for any comments or questions, show ideas you have for the offseason as well. We love to hear those. And next week, we're going to be talking about our rookie talk. So we talk a little bit about rookies every single week, but next week, we're really going to get into it, see who the best rookies are, what they're doing, who we thought the best rookies were going to be that didn't really do much, Jack Bash. So we'll talk about that next week. And again, for Jeremy, I'm Mickey. This has been Dynasty from the Mountaintops. Have a great week. Good luck.
Thanks a lot, guys. See ya.